Well, good afternoon in my kitchen. What I'm going to do at the end of this video, before I say anything else, what I'm going to do at the end of this video is I'm going to tack on a bit of film of the turntable with the Brunswick leib on it, because the Brunswick leib are finished. They're totally done. They're in storage now, so they're finished. They're flagged up and based and everything. So that's something for you to look at, Brunswick leib. But what I thought I'd do in this video is, in answer to a request, is I'll show you how to make, or hopefully show you how to make, the perfect cup of tea. Because people have taken an interest in tea making. So I will show you hopefully how to make a perfect cup of tea. So I'll show you the things I'm going to use first. And that is, stands to reason, a cup and saucer. But what I normally use actually is a mug, because for purposes of this demonstration we'll use this cup and saucer. Actually, it looks like Crown Derby, but it's not. Fake Crown Derby. These actually are not practical at all, because you have such a large surface area. The tea goes cold quickly, particularly in winter time now. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll use this cup and saucer. They're nice. You have people around for afternoon tea and stuff. They're nice. They look good and everything. But generally, by and large, I haven't got a mug here to show you. I would use, a mug. It's got a smaller surface area. But whatever you use, you want to make sure it's clean. Number one, you want to make sure everything's clean. If you're using a teapot, that too wants to be clean. You want to keep everything clean. So I don't use my teapot these days because it's just me here, so I just make one cup at a time. I drink a heck of a lot of tea, but even I couldn't drink it by the pot load. I possibly could drink a pot in the morning when I get out of bed. I possibly could. But going on through the day, I sort of have a cup, I guess about every half an hour, something like that, I suppose. But trouble with that pots is, again, they go cold. So I just make it by the cup. So that's the first thing, is the cup and saucer. Tea strainer. Don't have a plastic one. I'm of the opinion that if you're pouring very hot water onto plastic, then stuff leaches out the plastic. You never know what's in plastic these days. And it's oil-based plastic, and that's another reason why I've started to steer away from tea bags, because I've heard it said, and I can well believe it, that there's plastic in tea bags, which stands to reason really, I guess, because if you just had a straight paper tea bag, when you put it in the water, left it in the water for a while, it would disintegrate, I'm sure, so you get paper in your tea. So it's probably true what they say, plastic in the tea bags. So I'm steering away from tea bags now, and I'm tending to use loose tea. I've got boxes here with tea bags in, which I will use, but once they're gone, it will just be loose tea. So that's our next requirement. My caddy spoon. The teaspoon would do just as well, but I tend to use this little Georgian caddy spoon, which I found in a little antiques place. I know what that will do for, and it goes in my tea caddy. And of course, the tea. And you want to use as good a quality tea as you can find. A lot of these teas, like I showed you the other day on the video, a lot of these teas, you can only seem to get them on the internet. You have to order them, like this stuff. I've not seen this in a shop anywhere, McKenty's. I gotta get it from Ireland, order it from Ireland. Doesn't take long to get here, a few days. But it's a shame you just can't go to a store and buy this stuff. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we shall use some McKenty's Gold Blend. So now we have everything we need to make the tea. First thing is the water. Very important thing. You want to use freshly drawn water, fresh from the tap, but if you can possibly manage it, you want filtered water, because there's a lot of crap in tap water. You know, bits of this and bits of that and stuff they add to it, and it's all going to affect the flavour of the final cup of tea. And the reason for using freshly drawn water is it's got a lot of oxygen in it, and tea loves oxygen. So the more oxygen there is in the water, the better flavour cup of tea you'll get. You'll help it release the flavour. So if you've got a kettle, here's my kettle, that's called a beehive kettle, by the way, the shape of it, it's called a beehive kettle. It's actually high time I gave it a polish, actually. But if you've got water in your kettle that's previously been boiled, don't boil it again, because a lot of the oxygen's gone out of it. And if you keep reboiling water and make tea with it, you'll get a flat cup of tea, because there's no oxygen in the water, because it's all gone. So that's why you use freshly drawn water straight out the tap, filtered if possible. You'll get a lot better cup of tea. So what I'll do in a minute is I'll turn the camera around and we'll make the tea. Right, back with you again. I had to stop filming because I noticed that the filter had gone on my water jug, so I had to replace the filter. So that takes 2 or 3 jugfuls of water to flush it through and sort it out. But anyway, we're done now. We've got some freshly drawn water. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that's not dirty in the center. First thing we're going to do is add some milk to our cup. This is actually not proper cow's milk. This is a milk substitute, and hopefully you can see that. That is a milk substitute made from oats, because I have a intolerance to milk. I'm allergic to dairy products. It's one of the side effects of having ME. You end up getting food allergies and stuff, so I use this oat milk. But that's our milk. Whilst we do this, actually, I will put some freshly drawn water in our pan, and we will put that on the hob. There we go, that a boy. Right, tea. This is our McKenty's Gold Blend. Mr. McKenty, you are a star. You make fabulous tea. Right. That's enough for 1 cup. Half a spoon is enough. So You could at this point, if you were so inclined, you could add something like honey or something to your tea, which I used to do every time, but it's it turned my teeth brown on the inside, so I'm having to stop the honey. So we'll wait for our water to boil. Now I will tell you at this point that we're going to get the water to boil, but we don't want boiling water on our tea, because boiling water on your tea will burn the tea leaves, and you don't want to burn the tea leaves because you'll get a poor cup of tea and they won't release all their flavour. And tea is a very delicate plant, so you don't want to burn it or scald it. So what we will do, once this water has boiled, is we will just leave it sit for a minute or so, just to take the edge off the heat before we pour it onto our tea leaves. So whilst this is boiling, it's nearly there now actually, it's getting there now. I can turn the camera up actually whilst we're here, so you can, as if by magic the shopkeeper appeared. Yeah, I'll tell you something quickly whilst we're waiting for that pan down there to boil. I noticed, going back to the Brunswick leib, I noticed I was looking at what flag to give them, because obviously I didn't have a flag in the box. It's not a standard flag, Brunswick leib. I read in my book, I got a men-at-arms flag book, well, I got 3 flag books, men-at-arms, Napoleonic, and it said they had a, Brunswick leib had 2 flags, a Duke's flag and a battalion flag. So I'm now thinking, I've only got 1 flag bearer made up, I'm going to be a flag bearer short, damn. So then you can hear it going now. So then I read a bit further, and it said, it named 3 or 4 battalions, so-and-so battalion, so-and-so battalion, so-and-so, and Brunswick leib never had a flag at all. They didn't carry a flag. So from going to being 1 flag bearer short, I now have 1 too many, but I gave them a flag because I had the flag bearer made up with the standard at the pole. So I wasn't going to do another figure and replace it and rip it off the base and all that stuff. So I painted a flag and give them a flag, and they look nice, but they actually shouldn't have a flag at all. But it doesn't matter, But our water so we're going to leave that stand for a minute or so, because excuse me for moving this around. As I just told you, we don't want to scald the tea leaves, burn the tea leaves, because that way you'll get a poor cup of tea and you won't release all the flavour in the tea leaves. So we'll just leave that sit. For those of you that think, I like my tea piping hot, you'll still get a hot cup of tea. Even if you leave it a minute or so, you'll still get a hot cup of tea. Particularly if you use a kettle. I'm using an open top pan, so it's going to cool a little bit. But if you use a kettle and just leave the kettle stand a minute or 2, you'll still get a hot cup of tea, believe me. So we'll just leave that stand a minute. The only other thing I'll say is quickly, postman came today. He bought me this. I'm going to watch some of this tonight. That's the original TV series from the 70s with Roddy McDowell. So I haven't seen one or two of them. You can actually see online on YouTube, one or two of the episodes, but you can't see all of them. They only made 14 episodes and they pulled the plug on it, which they shouldn't have done. It was criminal. It was a good series. So I'm going to watch some of that tonight. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. So our friend Jason Parker is getting a few more subscribers. What was he up to? What did I notice he was up to just now? 16 or something? Fantastic. A little shout out goes a long way. I tell you, a little shout out goes a long way. So put my butterfingers, put my caddy spoon back in the caddy. Right. What we can now do, did I cut myself in? What we can now do, I can move this so we can get it on our... Oh, hang on. Hang on. This is all very Heath Robinson, you understand, my camera work. We've now let this stand a minute or so. Into the leaves. This is not a good cup. And you just get it to how you like it. That's pretty good for me, actually. If you like a really strong cup of tea, you probably wouldn't use the sort of tea that I was using. You'd probably use something like Assam or something like that, a very strong tea. But that's pretty good for me. One or two little bits of leaves there that'll slip through the strainer. It won't stop everything. You're going to get an odd one or two. You can't help that. You can't help that. It's not going to poison you. What's left in the water that's left in the pan there's a little bit left in the pan there. When that's cooled down, I'll put that down the sink. I won't reheat that and use it for the next cup of tea, because as I said earlier, the oxygen's gone out of it and you'll get a flat cup of tea. So there we are. That's how to make a cup of tea. 1 cup of tea in a nice cup. Very hot. Absolutely delicious. That's how to make a cup of tea. Thanks for watching.